All right, so I see the attendees are climbing nicely. We've got a couple of minutes to go and then we'll kick it off promptly at 8 o'clock. And once again, thank you for joining us here at our 2021 NPT customer webinar. So you're looking forward to today, Thomas?
Yeah, I am. I think we've got some exciting things to present, so I think it will go really well. Right?
I believe so. I think we've got a good range of products. We've got top-class customers, and I think the combination between the two will really set us apart from our competitors.
100%.
So hopefully you guys, everybody that's attended has gone through the instructions for the webinar. If you've got any questions, please put it in the chat, but we'll go through all of those points as we start.
Okay, Marcus, I think we have 8 o'clock, eh? Shall we get
8
going?
o'clock, let's kick it off. There.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to our What's New at Festo 2021. Today we'd like to take you through a few product updates and features, some new things that we will release this year. So it won't be an in-depth dive into our products, but we'll give you some highlights on some of the exciting things that we think will really wow your world this year. So from myself, Thomas Halls, technical support, I'll be presenting with.
And I'm Marcus Gericke, Head of Electric Automation, and together we'll do what we can to show you all that's new at Festo this year.
All right, thank you, Marcus. So quick overview on some rules just for today. We'll do about 40 minutes of presenting. Nikita in the background will keep everyone unmuted. If you do have questions while we are talking about products, please feel free to type them into the chat. We'll definitely get to them. We have a Q&A session afterwards. We will also unmute and we have a chance to interact with you directly. So if you want to type your questions into the chat, please for us. So on that note, Marcus, what would you have for us today?
Well, thanks. Yeah, we got automatically muted there, so I do apologize. All right, so before I start, hopefully you've noticed behind us, we're in the Festo Experience Center based in Isando, and that's where a lot of the customer interaction and, of course, testing takes place. So hopefully a bit of a new vibe for you guys. And with that being said, I'm going to be starting off with our CMMT servo drives. So, Thomas, you might have seen the servo drive in the industry. It's, of course, our new series CMMT. And this servo drive is all the way up to 6 kilowatt available right now. And it has a couple of key points that I'd like to bring across to you guys today. So starting off, if you're looking for dynamic point-to-point or perhaps interpolated motion, this drive is really the one for you. It really is dynamic. It is also one of the smallest drives. In front of us here, you perhaps see a size comparison from the older drives to the new drives being a lot more compact. And of course, our drives take care of all the main protocols. So you have EtherCAT, Ethernet IP, of course, Modbus, and Profinet as the main protocols for our servo drives. Of course, the one thing that you take into account is that all the plugs are now in the front and at the top, giving you easy access into it. So for those of you that have had the opportunity to work on drives in a panel, normally the plugs at the bottom, really difficult to get hold of, and we've managed to get that a lot easier for you, for the customers now. So of course, with Festo's tradition, we've made sure that we seamlessly integrate to all third-party PLCs. So standard function blocks are available for all these drives to suit all of the main PLCs. So if you're looking at the Siemens, perhaps Allen Bradley, Beckhoff, all of those. So why would a customer be looking at this? Like we said, it's quite a highly compact solution. It's actually the smallest power to size ratio out of all of our competitors. So of course, for a customer, that'll save panel space and require less cooling. We also look at the fact that it can be parameterized directly from the PLC. So imagine being able to, at 2 o'clock in the morning, replace a drive that's blown, and with the coding on the PLC, let's say on the HMI, you push a button, it sends the parameters down to the drive, you're back up and running. No technician, no laptop, and you're back up and running. Of course, the flexible protocols, like we mentioned, so for the main Ethernet-based communication, so Profinet, Ethernet IP, and of course, EtherCAT. One of the biggest benefits, I believe, is that we can program both our stepper drives and our servo drives from the same platform, so Festo Automation Suite. So for the programmers out there, it's one platform that can do both stepper and servo with the same function block. So it means that it uses the same material to program. And of course, that's where it really comes into play. One of our biggest trump cards with our stepper drives is that we can run third-party motors. And that's, of course, with brake or without brakes. And that's all done here at the Experience Center based in Lysander.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Marcus. On that note, so from my side, I would like to introduce a pneumatic product. So this is a brake system. So if you look at, if you take the example of a vehicle, your motor vehicle at home, you may have known that, or you know that your vehicle has two brakes, right? You have a dynamic brake, so you use during driving when the vehicle is moving. You use a brake to slow down or stop your car, and then you have a static brake, whereby if your car is parked or standing somewhere, maybe on an incline, you'd want to prevent the car from going anywhere, so you pull up your handbrake. Right, so similar to that, we've got the DACS, our pneumatic brake system that's completely new, just been released into the market. The big factor from what's changed from what we had previously was that we didn't have the paper, the documentation to go with it, so the statistics on how many cycles we can do, what's the B10 values, the lifetime expectancy of this brake, which is now part of the new system. So we have tested it to conform to European standards in terms of safety, and this is a really wow product that we can use now. So the DACS or DLFC, DLFG, depending if it is combination with a cylinder or just on its own. So really cool this, you can use it in multiple applications because all you need is a piston rod or a rod that goes through the brake so that the brake can clamp onto that rod. So either completely assembled with the pneumatic cylinder or on its own. Okay. So DACS, some of the features and benefits there for you. You'll see on your screens now some of the ratings, the rated lifetimes for the brakes that we have in our range, all the way from a size 40. And what's new now compared to what we had in the past, we've never had above 100 size. We now have a DLFG 160. So it's a really big brake, about 7,500 newtons of holding force. It's really, really powerful. All right, so from terms of safety, so the standard rating on the DACS is a PLC category 1 safety rating that we have standard with the brake without any extra features. If you, however, add sensing or regular checking of the brake, you can increase this to level D type safety rated device. So keep that in mind for your safety applications, especially if you have press applications, vertical lifting items where pneumatics are involved, where you want to guarantee that in a holding situation or in an emergency situation, you're stopping your systems from running, preventing machine failure and also human failure. We don't want that at all. So this could be a really good product for you. Static and dynamic braking, as I mentioned earlier, we have both features available. The static lifetime, of course, is longer. The forces involved are not as intense on the brake, so the lifetime of the brake under static loading is longer than what you would have under dynamic braking, of course. Maintenance free, so real big benefit here compared to our predecessors that we've had. It's maintenance free. So during the lifetime of the brake, don't need to act or do anything to it. No maintenance, no adjusting, nothing. The brake works for the entire lifetime. Performance, so we've got higher holding forces than we've had in the past. We've improved the holding forces, and we've also reduced the weight of the component. So not only is the component lighter, which means you don't have to carry so much weight on your application, but also much stronger holding forces with the system inside. And then, of course, last point from my side, the sensing. As I mentioned earlier, there's an option for an inductive sensor. You can give active feedback, is the brake engaged or not, because it measures the piston inside the system. So as you can see, very simple to install and easy to use product from our side.
Thomas, the handbrake, I understand with these things, but what you just said about simple, it's like you're reading my mind. And the product I actually want to take our customers through is the Simplified Motion series. So you might have heard, in the past from Festo, we trying to bridge the gap between standard pneumatics and electrical axes. Now, in the past, electrical axes were always deemed to be more costly. And with the Simplified Motion series, we're looking at bridging that gap, really bringing it closer with, of course, the added benefits of the pneumatic side. So with that being said, on the screen, you'll see the Simplified Motion series and the introduction to, of course, the new short stroke cylinder called the EPCE. And the main thing that we want to bring across with the Simplified Motion series is just that. It's that it is simple. So if you look at simplified installation, or simplified cabling, there's only 2 cables, one for power and one for digital signal. And of course, if you want to control it via IO-Link, you can. So if you look at the way that we've gone with this system, there's a simple online tool, which we'll discuss, I think it's somewhere along the line, with the online solution finder, which means the power sits in your hand as the customer. So of course, one of the benefits is that it's completely decentralized. So we have a simplified motor over there, and all the control is done actually on this little keypad in the front. So no need for laptops, no need for software, just straight there. So why would a customer actually look at buying something like this? So of course, it's highly compact. So if you compare that to a pneumatic cylinder, if you look at the ADN, the 0 stroke. So when you've taken only the 2 end caps, and that 0 stroke is about 37 millimeters, and you compare that to that of the electrical axis, it's 116. So from 87 to 116, quite a lot closer than the traditional electrical axis. Of course, it's also speed optimized to compare to pneumatics. So pneumatics is traditionally a lot faster, but because this 2-valve configuration, you get quite high speeds. And of course, when you're on the website doing the sizing, you actually get a time indication of exactly how fast your system would work. So of course, flexible design, we've taken into account that we have to try and compete with the pneumatic side. So if we look at the mounting, you can mount it in the front, at the back, or on both sides. It really depends on the application. So the new piston rod options, you get either a single rod, or you get what like you referred to on the pneumatics with a through rod system, or perhaps a double cylinder where you can actually do a form of gating. So it really gives you that type of flexibility. And of course, all of these are fitted with a simplified motor that's on it, Simplified Motion series motor, and all of the controls are actually done right over there. So from the edit, you can set the speed, you can set the force, and all of that. But of course, this is cost optimized. So looking at bringing the cost of pneumatics closer to that of the electrical axis, or actually vice versa, bringing the cost of electrical axis closer to that of pneumatics.
Marcus, you read my mind. Speaking of cost optimized, I might have a product there for you for the process industry. So we're looking at process industry as a whole, right? So we've got a brand new cylinder out onto the market for process industry. So you'll know this from the general applications like wastewater, water treatment plants, any big bulk media that needs to be moved. We have cylinders that actuate gate valves, slice gates, sluice gates valves, pinch valves, any big linear gate applications where you require a cylinder. So it's a very cost-effective cylinder that does an open-close job, very slow speeds, low cycles, and therefore cost is quite critical. So we have brought out the DFPC, what you may know as a pancake cylinder, so a pancake type cylinder. Very basic design, but very cost optimized. So we have taken the best of both of our worlds. From the pneumatic side, we've taken our standard ISO type cylinders, we've taken that design and we've integrated to the more process orientated side of the market, so the DLP type range of cylinders, and we've created the DFPC. So with the DFPC, we have both ISO standards integrated on the end caps. It's a tie rod type cylinder system with a Namur interface, and then of course bore sizes. Currently we've released 80 to 125 bore on the DFPC, which is available, and we'll increase this slowly over the course of the next 2 years up to about a 600 bore cylinder. So the biggest ever cylinder size that we've had in our range. Strokes roughly, that we have about up to 1.6 meters at the moment, that we'll release into market. So for most of your standard linear applications in the process industry, sluice gate, knife gates, pen stock type valve applications, this would be the perfect product for you. With having said that, also keep in mind that in certain applications there's what we call a ram type cylinder. So a ram kind of application, this is where you are pushing media that's very viscous. So slow moving media like glue, like very sticky substances, where you require a cylinder with heavy force, so a big force cylinder, but really slow moving. So for those applications, this could also be the perfect product for you, DFPC. So some of the features, as you'll see on your screen there, there's two examples of what the DFPC would do. There's a pinch valve in the middle there, and then you've also got a ram type application with the pneumatic airlines to control the force of the media that needs to be applied. So definitely one of the key benefits here being economical, as a very cost-effective product for the market, so really bang on pricing. Complete portfolio, so because of the ISO platform, we can now integrate some of the ISO accessories into the cylinder. So we're looking at your clevises, rod eyes, FK alignment couplers, then also the sensing options for the cylinders, all there with the Nomura interface. You've got your Nomura valve, so you can mount the pneumatic solenoid valve directly onto the DFPC. We've got the bore size range, so we've released to 125 bore at the moment, but we will increase this all the way up to 600 bore. And our biggest cylinder currently in the portfolio is a 320 bore. So this really gives us an added edge to our product portfolio. Then, of course, not to forget corrosion resistance. The cylinder has stainless steel components, so suitable for outdoor use. So keep your outdoor applications in mind for the cylinder. All right, and with that, Marcus, do you have anything in the PA industry or PA range that you could show us from your side?
Actually, I can, Thomas. And that's actually got to do with what we call the PA toolkit. So the PA toolkit is a new standard of visualization that the process industry is adopting. If you look at the mass amount of PLC manufacturers out there, everybody's got their own standard. So the customer eventually has so many different options to choose from. So if you look at the PA toolkit, it's what we refer to as a modular type package. So it's standard animations, standard function blocks designed for the process industry. So your PID loops, all of that standard graphics. And of course, that is available on the HMIs. So the HMIs are our new series of HMIs. The range is now expanded from 5-inch all the way up to 21-inch, so quite a nice big range of HMIs. And of course, these have an IP67 enclosure. So with the PA toolkit, you need a bit of power behind it. So all the HMIs are operating on Linux RT, so quite a powerful operating system in there, so no longer Windows embedded, which traditionally was a bit slow. So quite a nice performance-based system. You still use Festo's Designer Studio to commission the software, and you also have the option to do web visualization or remote target. So you can actually do the HMI design inside the Codesys program and display it on this HMI.
Sure.
So we have 3 series of these. We have what we refer to as the Performance Field series, which is the one that you see over there, which has the power over Ethernet. So it has one cable, which has Ethernet, the communication, as well as the power, which means only a single cable into that HMI for the customer. So looking at it, things that set us apart from our competitors, of course, we look at our the speed being optimized by optimizing the hardware as well as the software in this. So we get a faster boot up from our HMI. For those of you that might have, traditionally switch it on and you always wait for the HMI to boot up. With these HMIs, quite faster. Also improve the visibility, so you've got a wider angle of view on that, and that's for machine operators that have to walk down the machine and still have a line of sight into it. Of course, in the industry, we have to have some form of scratch resistance as well as UV and chemical resistance, and that's mostly because of the glass that they've used, so a high quality glass enclosure that they've used for that. And like I said, we've got 3 series, which is the Performance Field, which has PLC functionality included. So it has a full Codesys version 3.5 controller inside. Yep. You just can't extend the I/O, but we do have a Performance Cabinet series where you can add the I/O. So it does depend what you as the customer really require. And for those of you that are budget conscious, we do have a budget friendly system, which is called the B series, which doesn't include the PLC. So it is a polymer case. It is not designed for field installation, but it is for panel enclosure. Still has a very hardy construction, has a resistive touchscreen, and supports HTML5 and, of course, OPC UA server and client. And, of course, a lot more cost-effective thanks to not having the PLC on board. So with that, we look at a wide range of HMIs to suit our customers' needs.
Marcus, speaking of wide range, I might actually have a product for wide applications. So that's an interesting point you make there, Marcus. So just a bit of a teaser here, something that we'll release in the course of the year for wide applications. So if anything that's wide, that you have a big wide product that you need to grab hold of, this might be a solution for you. We've got a, apologies, we've got a DHPL long stroke gripper that we will release into the market now. The long stroke gripper, anything from about 20 to 200 millimeter gripping range. Really beneficial here for you would be that you can grip internal or external. So you can either hold the bottle from the inside or grip it on the outside. This allows for a lot of application examples or application possibilities for this gripper. Really nice feature. And then also sizes from a size 10 all the way up to a size 40 size gripper, which gives you the option of forces between 20 newtons to about 500 newtons gripping force. 500 newtons, about 50 kilos, so it's a bag of maize meal. That's quite a bit of force behind this gripper. So really dynamic range for various applications. Then of course another big feature that would be of interest is that both sensor slots are included on this gripper. So no longer do you have to worry about which sensor can you use to mount on this gripper. You have both options available. So a standard T slot and a C slot integrated into the design. And another feature that is really good that I should mention is that stroke limitation. So if you have X stroke gripper and your application demands that you need a shorter stroke or you need to reduce stroke, you have the option with the accessories to add a stroke limitation, which gives you some real flexibility. And then one last point, maybe just from my side, thinking of the T-slot, we have analog sensors for T-slot. So you could slide in an analog sensor, give analog feedback from the piston. So maybe you could use that for robotics. We're talking about robotics, so maybe there's an opportunity for some robotic handling type applications.
Thomas, while you're on the topic of robotics, I think our customers will agree that looking at the conditions in the country nowadays, if you look at automation, that's definitely the way to go. And if we look at robotic sales globally, robotics is definitely on the up. So whilst we're on the topic of robotics, if we look at our electrical remote I/O, so if we see where customers are doing and trying to reduce costs, there's more ways than just buying low-cost components. It's thinking strategically, it's thinking futuristically. So if you look at our CPX API remote I/O, that's ideally for OEMs or end users alike that have either decentralized systems or perhaps a system where the customer needs to add in additional I/O. So the CPX API is, of course, exactly the same as the rest of our electric automation portfolio. It comes standard with Ethernet IP, Modbus, Profibus, and Profinet. So with this, we give you high-speed data rate and give you real Industry 4.0 I/O for your industry. And of course, that means you get things like cable diagnostics, you get valve cycle counter, and that's what the information that you need to be able to make decisions about your machine health. So it starts to introduce things like predictive maintenance. And of course, all of this is done from a lightweight, small, compact little system that gives you all of this flexibility. So with that, let's have a look at, once again, why ours. So of course, high speed. If you look at our AP system, we can boast with speeds of up to 200 megabits per second. That means data cycle rates of less than 250 microseconds. So getting data from the field at a high rate of speed. So of course the flexible installation. So currently with this you can get the line topology and star as well as street topology are coming, and with that you can add 79 remote slave units. So one master can have 79 slave units. And if you take into account the cable that you can do between units, 50 meters. So imagine having 80 units with 50 meters apart. It's quite a distance. So you can have quite a long network running with cable diagnostics that will tell you that between module 55 and 56, there's a problem because of an energy chain perhaps. That, once again, Industry 4.8 giving you that type of thing. Wow. So PLC integration, of course, I did mention Ethernet IP, EtherCAT, Profibus, and Profinet for the master AP unit. And the communication between modules is, of course, our Festo AP. But compared to the rest of the guys that have remote I/O, everybody has a similar system in the background. So it's their own dedicated communication in the background and having a communication port into the main PLCs. So one of the biggest things about this is, of course, the predictive maintenance, and that's where we need to go. We need to improve the overall effectiveness of the machine, so your OEE, get that up, and reduce breakdowns. So imagine being able to say that that valve is nearing its end of life. Change it before it breaks. Now you can schedule the stop. Your production planner is happy, your stock planner is happy, and your maintenance planner is happy. Of course, your KPIs are met. And of course, all of that with cable quality monitoring. So robotic applications where we ideal because of small, compact size, lightweight. It's ideal for robotic and energy chain applications.
Oh, thank you, Marcus. Speaking of compact and small footprint, I also have a product for a very small footprint. So we have our standard DSNU series that you should all be familiar with. So our round bore cylinders applications, they've been around for 30 years. They've recently gotten a facelift. We've automated the production process, so they're completely 100% automated. But with that, we've added a second range to the DSNU, which is the DSNU-S. So the S being space optimized. So the idea here being to really save your space and weight in your applications. So as you can see with the DSNU-S, you're up to 3.5 centimeters shorter than a standard DSNU cylinder. You're up to 40% slimmer. So the whole design is slim, sleek, flat, smaller. So really for your tight applications where space is critical, where you've got no room to maneuver, or you're interested in weight, as little weight as possible when you're moving items, this could be the perfect product for you. Keep that in mind with your designs or your systems that you're incorporating. You could be conveyors. You know, conveyors tend to be very tight in space to move levers or move items on the conveyor. So this could be a really good product to use in that kind of application. So just some differences to note. The DSNU-S, of course, being more compact, is not an ISO series type cylinder, so it doesn't conform to ISO. In order for us to get it as small as we could, we had to do away with the ISO type system. But that also means that it's not interchangeable with the standard DSNU and has different thread types. But that is the focus point here, being that it's on small and sleek and slim. So the range being focusing on the smaller bore sizes from an 8 to a 25 bore, and then just standard P or PPS type cushioning.
So Thomas, on that point, is that why we're presenting here? You the slim and I'm the not so slim. I'm seeing where you're going with this. Thank you.
It's all sleek here. So from the standard DSNU range, as you know very well, very versatile system, lots of options on the DSNU range. Just want to highlight two that we've added now recently. One is a Viton type seal, front seal for better chemical resistance. So for certain chemical applications, you could use a Viton type application. And then, of course, another version, we've upgraded our low friction type cylinder for DSNU. So keep that in mind with the DSNU range. There's a low friction application cylinder. Accessories for the DSNU-S. So the DSNU-S, keep in mind, because it's not ISO, the standard ISO accessories don't fit. But we do have special accessories for the DSNU-S, so still available for your applications. Reduced commissioning time. We're about to release our SDBT, our programmable sensor. So the standard reed switch, as you guys will know, we now have a programmable sensor that we'll add to our cylinders, which means no longer do you need to set up cylinders. You put it into the end position, you leave it there, you will connect it, you leave it. Once you start the system, the sensor will program itself to its end position and give feedback to the PLC. So you save the time on commissioning and setting up of your pneumatics cylinders with sensors. Also DSNUS, the space requirements, of course, so we save on the space, very compact, small, lightweight, and very economical. So the DSNU range, very, very economical for your applications.
By talking about economical, Thomas, if we had to look at the mechanical industry, so if we look at our belt drives and our ball screws, etc., there also we need to start looking at more economical solutions and not by cutting on quality. So if we look at the new product range, the ELGT, it's a completely new design. So on your screen, you'll perhaps see that it looks completely different to the Festo traditional systems. And that's because we need to be competitive in the handling systems. So in the ELA, the electric light assembly industry, we have two types of scenarios. We have a cantilever system, which you'll see on your screen, and also a gantry, which I'll show you now, where a gantry has a second axis to support the load, if you want to call it that. And of course, that means an additional axis, additional costs. And that's just there to carry half the load. So what Festo did is we had a look at the market out there, we looked at the requirements, and based it on what our customers need. So if we look at the system, we can see that we have the option of a hard cover, and that's where one of the first new things that you'll notice is that we have a hard cover, and the actual axis is moving around it on the side. So you'll be able to see over here. I just want to highlight that you'll be able to see that the carriage is actually on the sides of the hard cover. So that really gives it the flexibility of being able to put your own carriage plate on it to mount whatever you want. So let's say you've got a camera on there, or perhaps a barcode printer, and you want to be able to move it up and down. You could make your own adapter plate to suit your application. So
that's convenient.
No, definitely. And you'll see that we've got three sizes, starting at a 90, then 120 and 160. And what I like about this design is that 90 is 90 millimeters wide, 120 is 121, and of course 160 the same. The guiding is where the actual benefit comes into this. So being able to have a cantilever system, being able to handle a 20-kilogram load at the end, you need solid guiding. So the size 120 and the size 160 have double guides, so that's where the real benefit comes into these axes. So they don't need a supporting axis, and therefore it means it can handle the load without deflection. So if you had to imagine having a load at the end of the axis, that deflection is negated because of the brilliant guiding. So in keeping with Festo tradition, if you go one size down, so if your x-axis is the 160, you can mount the Z on top of it using the 120 without specialized brackets, because it'll fit into the carriages that you get with these systems.
Really nice. Wow.
Also, what's nice is the installation options. So giving the customer, once again, flexibility. Do you want to mount it with a slot nut or perhaps a profile mount? Or do you want to draw from underneath and draw into and tap or screw directly into the machine's profile? That gives you the flexibility of mounting. And of course, the integrated grease nipples. So let's have a look at some of the features. So price competitive. You'll notice that I've put a picture in there, and that's a traditional gantry. It's actually one of the ones that we're currently doing for a gluing application, where the customer actually puts his product, and we're following a profile using our CMMT that you saw in the beginning. So showing you from a supply perspective, from a mechanical aspect to the electrical connectivity, and of course the intelligent connectivity with that. So we've managed to be able to get rid of the second axis, which saves the customer not just the maintenance aspect, but a cost aspect as well. We've looked at flexible motor options. So with the majority of our customers having the flexibility of choosing the servo technology, we have IEC kits that can handle most manufacturers out there in terms of motors. We did mention the flexible mounting options. So that really, to me, stands out, being able to mount it with a profile, sit and slide it up and down for alignment and giving the customer the accuracy that they really need. And then, of course, direct greasing points. So for the size 90, with having one axis, there's only one grease nipple. And on the size 120 and 160, two grease nipples, one for each of the guides that you get in there, and of course, a secondary grease nipple for the spindle nut. So, of course, that is ideal for regular maintenance and to ensure that your system is dirt-free, contamination-free, and will get the life cycle out of it that you require.
That is interesting that you mentioned maintenance, Marcus. So I might have something there for you for maintenance. So moving us a little bit away from the standard products, heading more into a software type environment. we have a maintenance system, so a tool that will cover your maintenance tasks in your plants or your production lines or your machines. So if you have or are involved in maintenance, we have what we call Smartenance. Smartenance is a software tool that will manage your maintenance processes for you. So be it managing your day-to-day maintenance on your machines, or even the breakdowns, looking at what is required for maintenance and giving you an overview. So Smartenance is really, really flexible because you can define how you set up Smartenance, be it for the machine, be it for the production line. You can add multiple machines, you can add multiple lines. So you have a complete autonomy over how you want to structure your maintenance system. So with Smartenance, you have the ability to actually control what is happening in your maintenance environment. You're going away from the pen and paper type environment. We're trying to make little notes on whiteboards, etc. Everything is now on the web. And then with the license system, we have different licenses, as you'll see on your screen. So the basic license will be just autonomous maintenance management system. But then as we go up with the advanced and the premium options, we have added features. So the advanced, for example, you have a logbook. So you can keep track of everything that has happened in your maintenance. So you build up a history over time. With this history, you can see how much are you spending on maintenance for reporting. You can download into Excel everything that's happened on your maintenance. So for costing, for example, you can add in features to allow you to track your costs on your maintenance. This is, of course, amazing. And then, of course, really important, like most of you know, if you have breakdowns. With the advanced and the premium option, you can manage breakdowns. So if a breakdown happens, the user on the shop floor can report the breakdown. This goes to you, the maintenance manager or the senior maintenance team on the web, and it's reported immediately, even with the option for an email notification. So even if you're not physically there, you will still know that something has happened and then can action it immediately. So no longer any delays and waiting till someone has told you that something's down or the line's not running anymore. And how this works from a license point of view, so you need a minimum of 2 licenses to run Smartenance. 1 license would be for the web user, and 1 license would be for the smartphone. The smartphone being just like any other app you can download from Apple Store or Google Play Store. You can download the app and use it on your Smartenance once you've purchased the license. And then you have the interface between the web user, which you set and program your maintenance tasks, and then the cell phone, the smartphone user, who then gets the tasks and gets to action them. The different license options, the pricing is on the board there with the premium option, the most advanced option. The premium option has API being a programming interface, which allows you to communicate with different softwares. So say now you're running Smartenance, but you want to communicate to a SAP type platform, you have the interface to be able to communicate to SAP. So thinking of Industry 4.0 and where we're heading in the world, this would mean that if you program Smartenance, if you have a breakdown on certain items, Smartenance could escalate this to SAP automatically, place your purchase order, get your cylinder ordered without even being involved. So before you know you have a breakdown, your products are already being ordered for you. Some really cool ideas there, I think, that could be used with Smartenance to think about. Yeah. So some nice benefits for Smartenance. Saves you time. So of course you're moving away from pen and paper and having to remember what was the maintenance routines that you had last year on the machine. Once you're logging everything and it's online, it's saved for you on the cloud. So you have exact reference of what has happened for your machines. And you can also improve your maintenance on your machines. Of course, efficiency, it's online, it's available 24/7. Data is always there for you. You can really use that to your benefits. Easy rollout. The Smartenance is very intuitive, easy to use, easy to set up, sign in, create your machines, create your tasks, easy to attach links. So you can have videos, so the staff on the shop floor, the maintenance team will have access to links to how to maintain your machines, videos, tutorials, documentation, everything's available for you to link in Smartenance. It's educational, of course, because with all of this information, you can use Smartenance as a platform to train your maintenance teams. So if you have new personnel or you're changing personnel, It's a very easy way to show your personnel how your maintenance is done on certain machines, what is required, what are the tasks, and when are they scheduled for. Really cool. And then, of course, the Industry 4.0 aspect here. With smart tenants, we're going to another level. So we're going from the product level into the cloud environment. We are saving information, we're sharing information. We are starting to become smart in how we deal with information. So no longer reactive, but proactive. We're working towards stopping things before they even happen, to make your total cost of ownership, reduce your cost of ownership on machines, make them run efficient and effective.
So, Thomas, on that, if my wife wants to buy it, please don't, because I don't want her to have the control of all of my maintenance tasks. But whilst we're on the topic of software, Festo globally has recognized that there's a need for going digital. So when we look at tools can also be digital, and that's where Festo's tools really come into play. So if you look at the new electric sizing, which is a simplified design tool system, where the customer's got the flexibility of calculating from a single system to a multi-axis system. And of course, available on our website, that is where all of our tools are located. So from electric sizing to HGO, there's so many different options. And why? Did you know that roughly 80% of a machine's cost is made up of things like the conception, the design, the drawings, the commissioning, all of that? That's where the real cost comes in. So Festo's tools are designed to actually reduce those costs, the intangible costs, which are difficult to actually justify at the end of the day. So imagine being able to do a design of a machine in a fraction of the time. That's where the value sits. If you monetize that and say, I've saved you 3 days of design time, you can equate that to say 15, 16,000 rands worth of saving in that thing. So if you look at some of the Festo tools that we've got to offer, we start with positioning drives. So that's a free software. Once again, you can download, and in that you can do calculations, and it will give you solutions based on your dynamic characteristics. We also have the handling guide online, and the handling guide online is one of the proud tools of Festo, where you can design a system and access with a energy change, with all the brackets, motor sensors, everything included, in under 5 minutes. And that is where we really look at taking, and even if you take a day's design, that's really looking at a roughly 8,000 rands design cost that you've done in 5 minutes.
Wow.
So that's really
incredible.
If you look at the Simplified Motion Series, the online calculator, that's giving the customer and the sales engineers the benefit of being able to do basic pneumatic calculation for the Simplified Motion Series online. Of course, we look at fluid draw. Fluid draw, you can do not just pneumatic drawings, but you can do electrical schematics as well. So giving that flexibility and power to the customer. Our Festo Automation Suite is where we can literally parameterize that drive in 5 clicks. And I've tested it. I've had one of our application engineers who's running behind the scenes today show me, literally click 5 different, and you're up and running and the motor's running. One of the best things.
That's incredible. Wow.
Of course, with Fox, our Festo online experience is busy rolling out, so keep an eye out on our website. You'll see more about the Festo online experience coming out. And once again, creating just the simplicity of being able to order online. So if you look at systems like our online shop, you know, that's where the customers can order at their leisure. They're not bound to operating times. So of course, electric motion sizing, that's our latest one. We're hoping to get that launched by the end of Q2. So keep a lookout for that one. And then from there, it's back to you. What have you got to end the day for us?
Yeah, Marcus, one final product from our side, just from my side, now process automation. So moving back to the process automation environment, we've got our pneumatic valves, so a pneumatic actuated process valve, which we call an angle seat valve, or is well known in the industry as an angle seat valve. So just an overview, we've got the VZXA, which we've launched. It's our top of the line angle seat valve range.
This is the one that everybody's rushing in the doors to get.
Yes, okay. This is the one. So really cool features, covers almost everything in the marketplace. So we've got from a 1/2 inch to 2.5 inch, so covering all this 95% of standard size applications. Pilot valves that we have now in-house as well. Sensing options, a few of the features that we've released this year that I'll demonstrate today as well. We've got the standard stainless steel range, and now we're adding a brass polymer type actuator as well to that range. So some of the really nice features that we've launched this year are stroke limiters, so you can now limit your opening stroke or your closing stroke. For certain flow applications, you might want to limit how fast or how much flow you have. You've got a standard stock limiter or standard limiter, or with cushioning, you can add a M12 type cushions cylinder, which allows you to limit your stroke softly if the application requires. Then, of course, we have the sensing option. So we have T-slot sensors now that you can add to the VZXA for process reliability and safety and feedback. You can now check your process status, so is the angle seat open or closed, and give that feedback to your control system. Then, of course, the stainless steel option is repairable. So real good value here in your total cost of ownership for the angle seat valve. If you have the angle seat inside and the seals wear down or fail, you don't have to open the pipes, strip everything out, remove it. You simply switch off your media, remove the actuator, remove the cartridge, put in your new cartridge, put on the actuator, and you're good to go. So a real benefit in time saving and cost saving, because you only have to replace the cartridge and not the whole angle seat valve. So on the stainless steel range, real big benefits. Vacuum, we now officially have a vacuum in the documentation, so the angle seat valve can run vacuum. Just note on that, use that for below the seat or against the seat flow type applications for vacuum. Works really well up to -0.9 bar or 100 millibar of vacuum you can create with run through the angle seat valve. So that allows us to add a whole different set of applications to the angle seat range. Pilot valves, so we have started to release our pilot valves. They're really beneficial because with male and female thread, you can screw them directly onto the angle seat valve, so gone are the days of extra accessories, etc. It's a one compact unit, one compact system. And then, of course, not forgetting the brass polymer variants. So for a very cost-effective option in the range, we've got the brass polymer valves, which should be released soon. That is also completing our VZXA range that we can offer to you. So please have a look at it. They're really cool valves. These, I love them. I think they're selling really well, and we will do wonders with these valves. There's lots of opportunity in the industry for this.
Awesome, Thomas. I think that's, I've heard the guys rave about it, so I believe it is one of the process valves of choice in the industry. So from my side, on the electrical side, I'm done. How are you? You also done, or do we hand it back now to the guys that's in here, and let's have a look at if they've got any questions for us?
Yeah, Marcus, I think I've done enough talking for one day. I'd like to do a bit of listening.
I think that's the best. So from my side, Nikita, if you've got any questions, or Sky that's sitting in the background can let us know if there's questions. If not, maybe we can unmute our attendees and then let them ask us questions. I am going to launch what they call a handout. So it is a flyer on the electric automation side. Why is that not launching? Well, I'll figure that out as we go. But Nikita, have you got any questions?
Not yet, but I have unmuted the audience, so they can unmute themselves and ask questions.
Thank you,
Marcus. Maybe I can kick off. You spoke specifically about one of the electric actuators in the SMS range. Can you maybe just expand on what the range is all about again? And also a couple of the variances. I think you had it on one of your screens there on one of your pages in your presentation.
We did. Thank you very much, Guy. Yes. So the Simplified Motion series is really a cost-optimized electrical access system where we've got an integrated stepper motor with controller on top. And with that, you have the options to have what they refer to as the EPCS, which is a ball screw. It looks like a pneumatic cylinder version. We have belt drive versions, we have ball screws, and we also have rotary units. So it really gives you a full complement of the mechanical axis integrated with a stepper. So really a solution that gives you a lot better cost effectiveness compared to a pneumatic system. And the majority of these systems are a factor of probably between 1.2 and 1.3 to 1. So if you compare that to pneumatics, times it by roughly 1.3, and you could have an electrical solution. It's a lot better cost optimized versus a standard electrical access, which is, of course, more centralized. We have a controller like this in the panel, and of course, that is controlled by PLC, where this one's controlled by PLC as well. But the controller is actually decentralized and in the field. So it gives you a nice compact solution. So various belt drives going up to about 1.5 meters or 1.8 meters, and ball screw cylinder styles up to around about 500 millimeters. So designed for applications like diverting or perhaps pressing applications or lifting, stacking, that type of thing. So where you've got perhaps a standard pneumatic cylinder where you need a bit better control and a better repeatability. That's where these systems are really designed to come in. Thanks, Carl, for that question.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to raise your hand or unmute your mic and ask us if you have any questions on the products today, or in general, please feel free to ask. And thank you for your attendance today.
Yeah, I see we've got a couple of people from all over the country, so we'd love to hear where they're from. And then Nikita, if you can do me a favor and launch that flyer. For some other reason I can't get it done this side.
Okay, no problem.
Marcus, I currently see it under handouts. It is there.
Oh, is it?
Just
Okay.
on the handouts, yeah. Okay, well, if there's isn't any other burning questions, something from my side, coming from an electrical background, that pancake cylinder you spoke about, Thomas, why is it specifically targeted only at the process industry? Why can't I use that in just my normal industry, my normal factory environment as such?
Thanks, Kai. That's a really good question. So the pancake cylinder as such is designed with cost in mind. So it's a cost optimized cylinder. Therefore, it doesn't have the cycles or the cushioning that our normal factory automation type in cylinders would have. So your DSPGs, your DSPCs, your ADNs, all these cylinders are designed for high cycle, high speed, high force applications, whereas the pancake type cylinder is high force, yes, but not high cycle. So we're looking at applications where knife gates or pinch valves. In the process industry, generally, you only actuate a cylinder maybe once or twice a day or once per hour. So the cycle rate is reduced much lower, and therefore the lifetime also cycles are much lower. But generally, because of the lower cycles requirements, the cylinders last just as long. But therefore, not to be confused with our standard factory automation type cylinders, where the life expectancy or the performance on the cylinders is much higher, and therefore they have a different criteria of how they get manufactured. That's also where the difference in pricing comes in. But yeah, thank you for that question, Sky. That's really important, just to be clear on that. So pancake type cylinders for outdoor environments, but for lower cycle type environments.
Awesome. So I see we got a message from France saying thank you very much. He has to unfortunately run for another meeting at a customer. So France, thank you for attending. We look forward to seeing you and more of your customers attending more of these webinars. So ladies and gents, unmute and ask. Yo.
I think I'm going to hoggle the limelight if no one else wants to ask any questions. I haven't heard too much about SmartTenants. I have a brief understanding myself. Tell me, is it possible to get a trial? How do I test this out so I can get a good feel of how it works, Thomas? Can you give me a temporary license, or can I get a cheap trial license, or how does it work?
Yeah, thank you, Sky. That's a really good point that you make there. So SmartTenants, if you are interested in using SmartTenants and you think that's something that could add benefit to you, how it works is we've got our online store, so our OLS for standard products, and then what we call the App World. So the App World from Festo is a platform where you use your online shop credentials. You can log in, and under there's SmartTenants available to purchase. But of course, as you mentioned, Sky, You don't have to purchase it initially. You do have a 1 month free trial period, which you can run SmartTenants. So you sign up as a user, you sign into SmartTenants, you create your SmartTenants online, and then you can use SmartTenants for a month. So the first month you can trial it, you can run it, you get up to, I think it's 10 licenses available for the trial period. So you can really test out SmartTenants with your entire team. You can run it, see how it works, how efficient is it, what kind of maintenance tasks you can do, how you set it up. It's really, really beneficial. I think it's really worth considering or trying if you need a maintenance type software. And you can run it for the first month for free and really test it to its core. I see a lot of value in SmartTenants. I think it's where we're heading in the future. We've already in talks with some big customers in South Africa to sign them up for SmartTenants. And globally, we've had some big customers come on board with SmartTenants. Real big benefit there. Now, thank you, Sky. That's a good question.
All right, so we've still got 5 minutes. If there's anybody, if you want to, you can send the chat. Thank you very much, Peter. We look forward to seeing you again there at VW. Hopefully you guys are staying in production and pumping out those VWs. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you again down in the south.
Yeah, thank you for your attendance today.
So it looks like a lot of people are starting to leave, you know, from my side to everybody behind the screen, and I mean that literally, keeping the lights on, to the likes of Sky in the background there. We look at Nikita, as well as Devil. Thank you very much for everybody supporting us. Our first webinar, MPT, or new product for Festo 2021. Thomas, thank you. It was awesome doing it with you again. Yeah. So look forward to Thursday. So remember to let your the people know out there. Thursday we've got another session running. And if you've got any burning topics that you'd like us to cover on a webinar, get in touch with your local sales engineer or application engineer, and we'd be more than happy to do something for you guys. So from my side, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Marcus. Thank you for your assistance. It's always great working together with you. And of course, ladies and gents, if you have any questions on the topics or that we've covered today, as Marcus mentioned, feel free to contact your local sales engineer or Festo directly through the normal channels. We'd be more than willing to assist you further with information or products and give you answer your questions directly if you want to so choose. And thank you for your time this morning. It was great.
Thank you very much, everybody. Have a good, safe Tuesday. See you very, very soon.
Cheers.